Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I want to shift gears here for a little bit and talk about the vision for the House of Delegates and how we see things going forward. Yesterday, and the reminder is there on the wall, our former colleague, Speaker of the House Kirk Cox, said something, and it really stayed with me, and I'm going to quote. He said, "Consider every day that you're here in these chambers a privilege." And hopefully we've all come to grips with the fact that this institution has survived for 403 years without us, and it will survive long after we're gone. It is much bigger than any of us. And in fact, our friend and colleague, Delegate Plum, he's the only one that actually knew Governor Thomas Gates back at the Jamestown settlement. But in all seriousness, and Delegate Plum knows I kid, we are privileged to be here representing the people of the Commonwealth. But with all privilege comes tremendous responsibility. And what we do here during these 2 months is going to determine how people in Virginia live, how they live their daily lives, how they make decisions, how they raise their families, how they participate in their own communities. And we are all Virginians. We all come from the same creator, as the governor referenced last night. And what we do here requires bold leadership, it requires determination, it requires a resolve to look around and be honest about what we see from one corner of the Commonwealth to the other, not just in specific parts. And we are all Virginians, and of course it all makes us proud when any national publication says Virginia is #1 at anything, fill in the blank, whatever it happens to be. But when you look around and you see soaring prices, you see our friends and neighbors making very difficult decisions at the grocery store, at the gas pump, everywhere that they go to spend money, can we all in good conscience say that everyone in Virginia is participating in this prosperity? Now, back in December, and these numbers just came out yesterday, inflation hit a 39-year high. It hit 7% increase during a single year. Our fellow Virginians are paying more for food, transportation, the daily essentials than they have in decades. And they're making a lot of sacrifices just to try to make ends meet for their families. There have been certain academics that have described inflation this way. Inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon in the sense that it is and can be produced only by a more rapid increase in quantity of money than an output. That's a lot to digest for those of us that are not economists. But here's how I'll describe it. The government is printing too much money. We are competing with private industry for workers. And we are artificially increasing the wage index. And what that's doing is now causing the price of goods to go up and driving down the quality of life. And it's a vicious cycle that goes round and round and round. As we push one, then we push the other, and we just keep going. Now, make no mistake, here in the Virginia House of Delegates, we do not control the levers of the Federal Reserve. We don't make monetary policy. We don't manipulate interest rates. But what we do have an opportunity to do and a responsibility to do is to offer people from Southwest to South Side to Hampton Roads and all areas north and south the opportunity to have some relief. And let me detail very quickly how we're going to do that. First and foremost, Virginians are going to be getting a direct tax rebate from the Commonwealth of Virginia, $600 per family. And after all, it is their money. Government does not get money but for the taxpayers. We're going to repeal the grocery tax, and that's an idea so good that not only did Governor-elect Youngkin campaign on it, Governor Northam picked it up on his way out the door. There's broad agreement that this is a good idea, and we are going to temporarily repeal Virginia's, at least temporarily repeal Virginia's part of the gasoline tax to ease some of the pain at the pump. We're going to reduce what Virginians are paying for energy. Bills continue to go up. We get every month. Get constituents all around Virginia asking, what are all these things on my bill? What do these mean? And so one of the things that Governor-elect has said he's going to do is remove Virginia from the Greenhouse Gas Initiative, or otherwise known as RGGI, which essentially created a double taxation scheme where Virginians are paying for the same thing twice. And what we're going to require is common sense regulatory approach to COVID that limits the governor's emergency powers, no matter what their party. There are some of us in this chamber who believe that shouldn't allow Republicans to run wild with that or allow Democrats to run wild with that. Governors should have to answer to the General Assembly for some of this stuff. And we're also going to address the Department of Labor and Industry's rigid COVID employer regulations. And in short, We're going to do everything we can to get Virginians back to work. And we're not just investing in the present, we're investing in the future of the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're going to make sure that students are safely in school and that they are learning every day. And we're going to make sure that our parents have a say in what their children are learning. If we were listening, they care very much about that. And we owe it in part to our students to give them the opportunity to enroll in advanced classes, and our teachers deserve to be paid what they're worth. And we're going to make sure the families are safe when they leave their homes as well, by fully resourcing law enforcement officers and making sure they have what they need to build effective teams. And our law enforcement officers also deserve to be paid what they're worth. And I've gone on long enough, Mr. Speaker, but before I'll close, I'll leave you with one thing. So I was born and raised in Southwest Virginia, as you all know. I'm in a corner of the state that, depending on where you are, you're closer to 6, 7, or 8 other state capitals than you are to Richmond. And, in Southwest Virginia, we're known for a lot of things. Our long vowels, as you can tell. We're known for our tall tales, as you've all heard before. But we're also known for our generosity and for a strong sense of community. And where we're from, things like food. That's a real expression of caring. I can guarantee you, if you have a death in your family, you're going to get a casserole or you're going to get a jar of apple butter. It's just going to happen. And if you've been over to Delegate Kilgore's office and gorged on those homemade cookies, you know this to be a fact. But what defines us, what really defines us, is our unshakable grit. We are relentless, and that's how we've survived this long, this far away from Richmond. And we've got to nurture that spirit across the entire Commonwealth and not crush that spirit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.